Hi, I'm Dawn.
And I'm Ashley.
We'd like to welcome you to the Work It, You Are Worth It podcast.
We're two friends sit around and talk about healing, growth, and healthy relationships.
Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Dawn, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a nice vacation this week and not having to go into work. I mean, I've still done some work, but not having to go into work has been very relaxing.
That is nice. Same here. Same here. I have been off for the last, well, I was off since Christmas and I go back to work on Thursday. And, I go into a busy time and it has been nice to just be down. I was telling you I've been really lazy lately this last, few days. And just as I said that, to you, like where I'm going into my busy, because I felt a little guilty about being so lazy. I don't feel now that I think about it, I don't feel guilty because what I'm going into is going to be nonstop for 6, 7 weeks. And it's okay that I have this, I'm being lazy. It's okay. It's okay.
Absolutely, it's okay. Of course, it's okay. I have done close to nothing all week. I mean, like, yes, we had Christmas Eve and we had Christmas
Yeah, yeah.
Day, and right, we hung out with the family. I've gone grocery shopping. The house is nice and clean. All the laundry's done. But for the most part, my spot on my couch has my butt imprint.
You know,
it is, I needed to relax. I needed it.
yeah, it's funny because I really haven't. I mean, I have been sitting on my couch, but Colin and I got a new game for Christmas, and it's a Sherlock Holmes game. I think you would love it. It's not a competitive game, which normally we are very competitive, but this is a co-op game where we work together to solve Sherlock Holmes crimes.
Oh, nice. That would be a lot of fun.
So the thing about it is it takes like 4 or 5 hours to do a case, if not a little bit more. I mean, it's very involved and in length, right? You're thinking about it and you got to figure it out and you have to follow these leads. And so that's what I've been doing. So I guess I haven't been wasting my time. I'm spending quality time with Colin, right? I'm doing something that we enjoy. Um, right. I took him out for lunch today. So I guess I'm not being lazy. I'm doing the thing. I'm really doing what I enjoy this week.
Relaxing.
Yes.
What better time to do it than the last week of the year when work is closed, there's nothing going on? What better time?
Right. Right. I thought about so we are recording on December 30th, and I know we have some podcasts in the bank, but I thought it would be really nice we to do a real-time podcast that we can put out tomorrow. What do you think?
You mean like do a podcast tomorrow and
Like,
put it
nope,
out
we're
tomorrow?
doing one right now, the one we are doing right now, kind of reflecting on who we are and who we want to be and what our thoughts of ourselves, just as a reflection of the new year,
Yeah,
where
let's do
we've
it. We'll
been.
put this podcast out tomorrow, you mean?
Yeah,
Let's do it. Well, tomorrow's
where
New Year's Eve,
it is.
so
It's okay. I'll suck it up and I'll do this quick. But I just thought it's a nice transition from what was to what could be, um, with the end of the year.
I love it. I'm down.
All
Let's do
right.
it.
So you had mentioned you had something you wanted to, like, an idea, and which goes along with this whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot of thinking this week. A lot of different conversations have kind of come to the surface, and it's brought up some thoughts about before CODA, before recovery, and the person that I was internally. So basically, on the outside, I was this woman who put being a mother first, has great work ethic. My house is in order. I do my best to do home cooked meals, right? I try to have it all together on the outside. And internally, hell, the night before I found CODA, I was driving myself to a mental hospital because I hated myself. I wouldn't even go so far as to say I hated myself. I didn't know myself. I just didn't want to be me anymore. I like it wasn't that I didn't like who I was. It wasn't that I didn't like my life. It wasn't that I, it wasn't a dislike of anything. It was that It was that I just couldn't do it. It just didn't feel right. Everything was wrong. Nobody was happy. I couldn't do enough to please everybody. I just didn't want to be the person I was anymore. And I didn't know how to be anybody else. Like I had this feeling all the time of just wanting to crawl out of my skin and just, I know everybody's heard me say being so full of everyone else that there was no room for me. And it felt like the only way to change that was to be someone else, literally to be someone else.
So when you say it didn't matter who it was, it just wasn't you, just who you, it wasn't Ashley. It didn't matter what it was, who it was, where it was,
Just
just
not
not.
me. Just not me. I just
Mm.
wanted to be someone that had a different life. They had a different thought process. They had a different past. They were somebody else. They were just somebody different, somebody other than me.
Do you know, do you know why? Do you know, like, have you looked, I mean, right, in recovery, have you looked back to understand where those thoughts kind of came from?
Low self worth, low self
Mm.
esteem, a lack of love, a lack of self love, a lack of self awareness, a lack of self knowledge. Um, I don't think I knew myself, right? I was so focused on being safe, and in order to be safe, I had to know what was happening with everyone around me, right? Because
Hmm.
so as a child who was involved in physical abuse and emotional abuse from a very, very, very young age, I learned that the best way to stay safe was to know what other people were going to do before they did it. So I could read body language. I could walk into a room. I still can. I can walk into a room and I can spend 5 minutes and evaluate every person in the room and know who's in a good mood, who's in a bad mood, who's ready to laugh and who's ready to fight and who's ready to cry. And then I adjust myself based off, or I used to adjust myself based off what was happening in the room at the time. I still do sometimes, right? Like I walk into a meeting at work and I know immediately if this is going to be a happy meeting or if this is a bad meeting. And I adjust my
Mm.
energy based off that knowledge right then and there. Right. And I think the main reason for that was that I was so focused on everyone else and everything else that true self care, right? True emotional self care, self a relationship self care. It just never happened.
Mm. So I'm very interested in this because I came about, and this is I am gonna use some triggering language, so just to put that out there. I had took went from came from a different approach with that at that time in my life, and I do remember very much at that age, 13, 14. Um,
Do you know, before you go into your story, I'm sorry because I think there's one more part of this that's
oh,
important
yes.
for my right. So what I was just now talking about, I was referring to, just 4 or 5 years ago, right
Oh.
before Coda, just here 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
But if I take myself back to 12 to 15,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be me back then either.
Mm. That's
Um,
that's interesting.
it is as I look back on it, it is now that you point this out, that we say this, that is very interesting. So when I was 12, 13, 14, I would actually, it probably started more like 9 or 10. Um, Let me preface this by saying I'm thrilled to be a woman. I love being a mother. I would not
Hmm.
change that for anything in the world. And everyone who knew me as an adolescent knew I wanted to be a boy. I shaved the sides of my head. I shaved the back of my head. I wore big old baggy clothes and t-shirts, big old Janko jeans and big old t-shirts. And I went so far as to teach myself to pee standing up. Nobody knew me in the bathroom. Nobody
Right.
saw me in the bathroom. I just And it wasn't at that age, it wasn't because I truly felt like a boy. It was because I didn't want to be me and I didn't know any
Hmm.
other option. The only other way to not be me was to be a boy, right? Either you were a girl or you were a boy. We're talking the 90s. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I, I, it wasn't at that age for me. And I understand that I'm a very small percentage of people in this statistical thing here, right? Most adolescents that come out and say, or are very direct and say, I want to be the opposite sex, this is what was my thing is not their thing, right? The majority of trans adolescents tend to grow up and continue to be trans adults, transgender adults. Um, so I want to preface this by saying I know that to be the case. And with that being said, for me, it wasn't that I truly wanted to be a different gender. For me, it was that I hated my life.
Hmm.
I hated my social setting. I hated my environment. I hated home. I hated school. I was not happy. I wasn't comfortable. And the only way that I knew I could get a total reset on that at that age was to be somebody different. Or at least that's what I think now, right?
Right.
I've never seen anybody, a professional about this or really talked to anybody about this. This is really the first conversation that I'm having about it. Um, but right as I look back on it, I always knew I liked boys. I never
Hmm.
thought I liked girls. I always knew I liked boys. Um, I never thought about like having a surgery or anything like that, but I just didn't want to be me anymore. I just
Right.
didn't like my life. So I that at that point, at that age with my knowledge base, the only thing I could do was the only way to be somebody else was to go from being a girl to being a boy.
And I think back when we were younger, right, there wasn't the diversity there is now, and it wasn't such a talked about thing. So I think what I'm hearing is right for back then we only had two choices. You were either a girl or you were a boy.
Right. There
And
was
it
no other option.
right. And if
And
you don't want to be you and you're a girl, what other option was there?
and even back then, like when I was 13 or 14 years old, going from like being a boy was not an option either.
Hmm.
Right. Like, yes, I shaved my head, but I had to run away from home to do it.
Right.
Right. And like, yes, I wore boys' clothes, but I typically had to go and buy those clothes of my own or steal my brother's clothes.
Right.
Right. So it wasn't like right now, there, if an adolescent truly feels as though they are in the wrong body and they want to look into that, there are options to look into
Right.
that. There are things that you could do. 25, 30 years ago, when I was having these thoughts and feelings, everybody was like, too fucking bad. Like, that's just how it was. You're a girl, put some makeup on and grow your hair and knock it off. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what my life would have been. I don't know. I couldn't tell you right now what route I would have gone had I had options back then, had there been a support for that back then. I mean, again, as I say that, I love being a woman and I
Yeah.
don't at all feel like a man. I don't want anybody to think that. And not
No,
that
no,
there's
no.
anything wrong with it. It's just not me.
Right, right. And I think the wonderful thing is there are like with in this day and age, right, mental health being a huge thing where we have therapists that are specialized and the way the process works to make those choices is better than it was when we were younger, and it has a long way to go. Let's just say that too. It has a
For
long way to
sure.
go.
So, right, to stay on track here, this whole like you were getting ready to tell your story of
Yeah,
when you were 13 and you said you were 13?
I was. It was around that age, 13, 14. And I want to go back. I do want to get to the current because I really am interested that you felt the same way recently, 4 or 5 years ago, as you did at 13. But to stay on the time frame from, the stories with ourselves, I did not want to be someone else. That actually never occurred to me that I would just wanted to be someone else. For me, I just didn't want to exist.
See, and
Didn't I didn't want to commit suicide. I knew I didn't want it. That wasn't it, right? I mean, and it, God, now that I say this, I'm so okay. I just didn't want to exist. I wanted to just disappear. Not, I didn't want to die. I didn't, right? It wasn't those that. It was, I just didn't want to, I just wanted to disappear. And it's interesting why I made had that moment was that's very much how I felt before Coda. I wanted to disappear
gotcha. So
because
it's the
it was
same kind of feeling.
easier. Yes, it would have been easier to disappear than deal with the pain and the hurt and all the things I was going through because they were too much.
See, and there's definitely been times in my life where I've wanted to disappear, right? Where it's like, let me just get in the car and just drive and just keep
Yeah,
driving.
yeah.
And I've definitely felt that too. Um,
I'm saying not existing.
and right, like I'm like, it's not the same. They're different.
Yeah.
And then so I can see where, right, I just don't want to exist anymore. I
Hmm.
want to be somebody different.
Yep.
And suicidal ideation. I
Right.
can see how those three things can be connected together, right? Like, so just no longer existing for me, that was never an option.
Right.
I grew up in Catholic school and going to church on Sundays, and like I have always had this core belief that there is a consciousness that follows us no matter what. And even once our body ceases to exist, our consciousness will still exist. Even as young as 8 or 9 years old, I can remember thinking that. So, not existing, that just didn't feel like an option.
Hmm.
And I remember considering if suicide was an option or not. And that also did not feel like an option at the time. Because at the time, again, Catholic school, church, it was so ingrained into me. I truly believed in heaven and hell. And then I truly believed in a long lasting consciousness. So for me, I truly believed that if I committed suicide, I would forever burn in hell in my
Hmm.
consciousness. And I had used to have horrible, vivid nightmares of what hell was like. Um, so that wasn't an option, but I can definitely see how those three different ideals could be linked to each other and just kind of be different intensities. Even the wanting to disappear, right?
Hmm.
It's I can see how it could be linked as well and like be possibly different depths of the same pool.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think everybody has a different thoughts around it, right? I definitely agree with you. Like they're all very tightly linked, but I think it's definitely in the person of what route they take. And I'm grateful I didn't take the route of and make the choice of suicide. I wouldn't be obviously who I am today, where I'm at today. I wouldn't have known there was something better. Life can be better than my 13, 14, 11, 12-year-old self. Because that person, that that child, that adolescent didn't know there was more. She hadn't nobody showed her, told her there was more. No one supported her. No one supported me, right? I was thrown kind of to the wolves to just figure it out.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way as an adolescent. There was definitely not any support. There wasn't anyone I could go to with those questions or those concerns or
Right.
those feelings, right? I couldn't have possibly gone to anybody and said I want to be somebody different.
And again,
Um,
mental health wasn't what it is today back then, right? Wasn't let alone our back then it was something was wrong with you.
yeah, it
Right?
was mental health was very, very different 25 years ago than it
Right.
is now.
My parents would have yelled it out of me They would have tried to punish it out of me. They would have never would have there have been support ever.
Mine just shut it down.
Yeah.
Mine were just like, whatever. You know, if you haven't, you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Or you don't
Yeah.
realize how good you have it. I could show you how bad you have it. You want to
Oh,
be
I've heard
somebody
that too.
else.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can go live on the street if you want to be somebody else. Go be somebody else then. Like that's right. I mean, my parents were not. And then too, where I was, right? So at that age, I was 13 years old when my mom went into the mental hospital. My stepdad took my little sister and moved into a friend's house, and my brother and I moved in with our biological father.
Mm-hmm.
So our entire world just changed overnight, it seemed like. We went from, bedtime at 8 p.m., strict rules, chores, to, dad was at the bar until 2 a.m. So he didn't ever
Right.
know where we were or what we were doing. And half the time, I mean, he partied with us. So
Yeah.
there wasn't really any there definitely wouldn't have been any support. There was not any conversation. There wasn't any safe place to go to talk about these feelings openly.
So how did you navigate it? Because clearly, right, you identify as woman as a female. Um, you survived through it. You did not make any choices to end your life. How did you make it through it? Like, what choices did you make back then to just get through?
Well, um, I don't know that I really made any choices. I just think I put one foot in front of the other,
Mm,
right? Like I said, I shaved my head, I wore baggy
right.
clothes, I drank. I started drinking
Okay.
at 13. Um, by the time I was 17, I was like, holy crap, I gotta quit drinking right now because this is gonna get bad.
Right.
I dated boys, sex.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely that was one of my biggest coping mechanisms was find any boy that would love me
Yep.
and latch onto him. And the more of them, the better.
Yep.
I used my body, I used
Mm-hmm.
sex to feel good, I used attention to feel good. And then at 17, I got pregnant. And all of a sudden, being a woman was a good thing because I could have my baby.
Right.
And I was a mom, right? That became right at 17, I became a mom, and that became my reason for living.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, still to this day is one of the biggest things in my life. You know what I mean? Like up
Right. I do. Yeah.
quite literally up until 2 or 3 years ago, my kids were my everything. So I really never, I don't know that I really ever did anything to truly deal or work through it. I just put one foot in front of the other until it went away.
So I did the same thing. Um, and I wanted it to sound very healthy in my question because I know for me it wasn't very healthy. I coped. One foot in front of the other, very similar, right? Turned to boys, sex, my body, used all those things. Um, I started drinking. I didn't drink overly heavy, but I was drinking and like taking liquor out of my parents' cabinets at a very, very young age.
Yeah, I was
Um,
11 the first time I started drinking, and I was 14 when I had sex for the first time.
I was 14 too.
Yeah.
I was 14 too. It was actually the day of my 14th birthday. So I was almost 13.
Just barely 14.
I was just barely 14.
My daughter will be 14 in 3 months, 4 months.
Can you imagine?
No, no,
Right?
I definitely can't.
I, I, I was a, I, how, I, and sex was not a conversation in my home, right?
No,
No,
we never, not once.
no, right? No. So how did I know that I should value myself and wait and that right it all the things that you can say about just me and my and who I was in my body, right? That just wasn't a conversation. I mean, hell, I didn't even know how to love myself outside of anything. So of course, I was gonna look for it wherever I could get it. Um, And I did the same thing, right? I very much the same thing. Just navigated it one step, one foot in step front of the other, boyfriend to boyfriend until I found my first, met my first husband. And then it was just like, okay, now I'm going to be married. And then I had Dylan. And then it was like, it was exactly what you said. Right now it's like, okay, now my life has purpose. See, and that's the thing I cannot express to, I mean, Dylan's 30 and I could tell him this, but right, I don't know if he'd understand it. Like the day he was born, I had purpose. Before that, I didn't have purpose.
I didn't have anything.
Right?
I had never understood love. I had never
Oh,
understood family. I didn't like before
unconditional love.
loyalty.
Yes.
I like I want to say I don't think my kids will ever understand it, but I think Destiny does.
Hmm.
Um, in a way, she does. See, she had a mom that was very, very different than my mom.
Right, right.
So, in a way, I think she definitely understands a lot of it. But it was just this quite literally reason for living.
Hmm.
Like, this is my whole world. This little tiny being is the reason I am drawing breath. This is what I was put on this earth to do. This is my purpose. And it wasn't just her, it's all three of my children, right?
Right,
Like
right.
they are, it's just an indescribable the day that they were born, especially Destiny, the day that she was
Oh
born.
my.
The day Jeb was born was a little harder. He was a preemie, and then the day Cam was born, there was other stuff too. And but the day that Destiny was born, it was nothing but Destiny.
Right.
It was right. She was the first grandchild, first child,
Yep.
first everything. It was all
Yep.
about her, and she was my lifeline to life.
Hmm. I always say Colin always boys will joke about who do I love more? Who do I love more? And the words I just love you differently because I
Yeah,
do. I do. I love them differently. Nothing will take the place of Dylan and the fact that he made me a mom.
right,
Nothing.
right.
Nothing. Nothing.
Ever.
Ever. And Colin's my baby. He's the
Yep.
last one I'll ever have.
Yep. That's, they each have their own special
Yep.
place, and it is not ever, and I was very, very worried about this with both Jeb and Cam. I remember my second pregnancy when I was pregnant with my son. How can I possibly love him as much as I love my first one?
Hmm.
Like, I don't think it's possible to love anything this much. And let me just tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, I love my
Oh.
son just as much as I love my oldest. And then when Cameron was born, I remember thinking, what I have a son, I have a daughter, I have an oldest. What can be special about this baby? I need this baby to be special. Um, and she was born and she just was. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I never found anything extra to make her extra super special. She's my baby. She's my youngest. That's it.
But you know what makes, and I say this because I think about Colin, you know what makes Colin extra special that just makes him a little extra special than Dylan? And it's a different way, is I have him in recovery. I have him in a healthy place.
Yeah.
And there is something about having him in a good place. It's just undescribable because right, Dylan was such a codependent relationship. Oh my God.
Right. The passion was so high, but the stress was so high too, right? Like it was
Yes.
constantly intense, and I'm so focused on everything else that I can't enjoy the moment. And it's so different with Cam,
And it's amazing.
right? Like
It's
she's 13 and I've been here for 4 years almost.
yeah.
It is, It's a relationship with intention and it's
Uh-huh.
a relationship with awareness.
Yep.
It's one that has a bond that I don't know how to describe it. I just like it's just so it's just different. It's just different. Like Cam and
It,
I will always be we will always be friends. We will always have this level of trust
yep.
and confidence in each other because of the healthy me.
Right. Colin knows the authentic me. Colin knows the healthy me. Colin knows the me with boundaries. Colin knows me in my truest form.
Right. The big thing for me is Cameron knows the me with feelings.
Yes.
I am not perfect. Sometimes I get frustrated,
Yep.
sometimes I get sad, sometimes I get excited. Like she has seen me break down and cry and asked what's wrong and I have been very honest. I'm just feeling really sad in this moment. I'm missing this or I'm
Hmm.
wanting that and I just don't can't find a way to get it.
So what did recovery give you? Because, right, you said you felt this way even right before recovery as well as I did. But what did recovery give you that helped navigate this? Because now I think it wasn't just one foot in front of the other. There was more intention now. But what was that?
First and foremost is self-love. Right. First and foremost is the knowledge and the awareness that the fact that I am breathing means I am perfect. I'm not perfect. I screw up. I make mistakes. I do things wrong. I fuck up all the time. But I am exactly who I am supposed to be. I am exactly who I should be. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I am perfectly where I am.
Self-love is a big one. Um, and it's just acceptance of myself, of
I
who I
don't
am.
know. Like I think those are separate for me.
Okay.
So self-acceptance, yes, they're tied, like yes, they're entangled, right? Yes, they're
Hmm.
intertwined, but I can love myself and still not be accepting of myself.
That
And
is, you can, that is true. Yeah.
I have in the past. And Coda has definitely taught me self-acceptance as well,
Hmm.
right? Like it's okay that I screw up. It's okay that I make
Yeah.
mistakes. It's okay that I do things wrong. It's okay that my best yesterday may not look the same as my best
Right.
today. Eh, That's okay. It's still my best. It's okay. That is self acceptance.
And I think that's the thing where it changed. Really, it was about self-acceptance. Because for me, because that I never accepted truly who I was, right? Because I didn't know who I was. And now this is who I am. This is right. I'm exactly who I need to be. And the who I am today, that person doesn't need to disappear. That person can take up space. She can have her own space. She can hold space. She can be.
Right. I don't have to wear dresses and 6-inch heels and makeup in order to be a woman.
Exactly. Hey, I love to get girly. I love to be girly. And I love to be boyish. I'm using those terms because I do not believe that this is boy, this is girl at all. At all do I believe that. But I do love to look, I love to feel pretty. I love to look pretty, but I also love to get dirty. And I can do it all. I can be it all.
I think that just not having societal standards on myself.
Yeah.
I think that accepting myself for who I am, looking in the mirror and saying, okay, do I want to shave my head and have really, really short, bald head? Sweet. If that's who I want to be, then I love me and I accept me, and there's nothing wrong with me.
Right. And hair grows
Whereas,
back. Who cares?
right. Whereas, like when I was 13 or 12, and I would look in the mirror and say, this is who I want to be. there was something wrong with that.
Yeah.
It wasn't who I wanted to be was not okay. The way I looked was not okay. The way I ran was not okay. The way I talked was not okay. And
Mm.
now the way I am is the way I am, and it is okay.
And I think one of the things we're saying, like, right, we might want to be thinner. We might want to have longer hair. We might want to have less wrinkles. We might want to, I don't know, whatever. I don't think those are the things we're saying we can't have. But how do I want to say that? Anyways,
Right.
I
Like I
think,
can have those thoughts and I can have those wants.
but that doesn't mean I don't love myself. Because right? Okay, would I love to lose 20 pounds? Sure. But I love who I am right now. Losing 20 pounds isn't going to make me love myself more or love myself less because I love who I am today, right now, in this moment, in this body, with this hair, with this face, with this all things.
Yeah. And not only do I love who I am, but I accept where I am.
Right.
Right? Like I may want other things. I may want to make more money. I may want a different career. I may
Yeah.
want a husband. I may want, and I can want those things, longer hair, a skinnier
Right.
belly, or a bigger booty, right? I could want those things and still love and accept
Mm-hmm.
exactly who and where I am right now.
Right.
And I think that that is one of the big things. I say that for everything. It's the biggest, but everything is big. One of the things that Coda has taught me is that I can want all of those things. I can want to improve. I can want to do different and still accept and love who I am right now.
Yeah. So another question for you. Um, right at the end of here we are at the end of the year. It's been a big year. A lot of things have changed for you. What do you want to leave behind in 2024?
What do I want to leave behind? I don't think I want to leave anything behind. I feel like everything that I have gone through and everything that I have acquired has been important things, have been big things. And I don't think I want to leave anything behind. I feel like I've processed through the things that I wish I didn't have to have, right? The things that like the situation with Nick that I struggled with all the beginning of the year. I feel like I've processed through that and I've taken some great lessons out of it and some acquired some great growth from it.
Hmm.
And I want to take those lessons with me. I want to take that growth with me. Um, I mean, there's definitely been some times that I've held on to things. I definitely want to maybe leave behind some of the tendencies for control,
Yeah.
holding on to things and just gripping tighter to try to get my way. And right, there's always things that we want to improve.
Right. But you're not leaving them behind. You just want to improve them.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I want. I look back and I'm like, oh, fuck that. I don't want it coming with me. Leave that there.
Yeah. I very much feel the same way. A lot of people say, I wish I could go back and do things different. I don't want to change. I personally don't want to change anything about my life. My life is exactly what it was supposed to be and has been. It has made me who I am today. Without that, I wouldn't have the things I have today. I wouldn't be where I'm at. I wish if I wish I wish I could have known what I known then, what I know now, but I didn't, and that's okay. So I very much agree with you. I don't ever want to leave anything behind. I want to take it all with me because that's how I grow every day. Um, and then what do you want for yourself in 2025 and in the future?
I want I want to continue this trajectory that I'm currently on. I want to continue with the self-awareness. I want to continue meeting my goals. Some of my goals are to continue to succeed at work,
Mm,
um, peace, right? To continue
yeah.
to maintain my peace. I would love to find love. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm there, maybe I'm not. Who knows? It'd be nice to have a partner and things and have someone to laugh and hang out with all the time. Um, I definitely want to make some more time for my friends, some more time for fun. This
Hmm.
year was spent a lot working and a lot building and a lot of growing. I think one of the things I would like to focus on and acquire in 2025 is fun.
Yeah.
Fun with friends.
Yeah. Um, that was my 2024. Very much was my 2024. Um, and 2025 for me is, I don't know if I want to find love as well. But I want to find love in the way that works for me, without feel like I'm sacrificing anything. And so that means if love comes, it comes, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, because love, I shouldn't have to sacrifice anything. I want to continue having
Absolutely.
fun. I plan on traveling this year. That's for me is something I want to do. I want to have my knee surgery. I want to travel. I just honestly, what I want for 2025 in the future is I want every year to be just better than the last one.
That's for sure. And that's what I find, right? Like, I don't have these specific goals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any New Year's resolutions,
No.
but I do have things that, right? Like, I want to maintain peace. I want to maintain happiness. I want some more free time for fun. There's definitely things that I want to keep doing and I want to make sure stay at the forefront. Um, and I'm pretty happy with myself. I'm pretty content with the way that I'm living and the person that I am, and I want
Hmm.
to do more of it.
Yeah.
It's been a long 2024 was a year filled with growth for me, and I think I would like 2025 to be a year filled with peace and contentment, right?
Yeah.
Like I love the growth and I appreciate the growth, but along with growth comes lessons and pain and hurt and struggle and strife. And I would love for 2025 to just be chill.
You know, that's, you know, I've said before that that I've kind of chosen not to date over the last 3 years. And I think that was what my choice was about. For me, relationships have never been about peace, and I needed peace. I needed to have space to find me, right? Build friendships. I mean, I have amazing people and friends in my life, and um, I realized it's been 2 years. The beginning of February is like when I met the first person, and where I've been in those 2 years, the people I've met. My birthday's Friday. Um,
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. And I have dinner plans. Right, I did dinner plans last year as well, and we did it, but this year it's different. There's more people, and there's right people just I said I said I wanted to find love earlier. I don't need to find it because I have it. I have
Isn't
it.
that nice?
Yeah, I have it. There's no finding anything.
I like that. And right, when I think about it, I have a lot of love. There's a lot
Yeah.
of love in my life. I I want a partner. I do. I do. I it is not that I'm lonely. I'm not lonely. I
Hmm.
enjoy my solitude. I enjoy being alone. I like my time to myself. And I am a very social person. I'm a extroverted introvert.
Hmm.
Right? I don't want to be out at the clubs. I don't want to be out at the bar. I don't want to be around 1,000 people at parties all the time. but I do love having people to talk to. I like having
Right.
someone to come home to. I like having someone to wake up next to. I
Yep.
hope I do find a partner in 2025. If not, that's okay. I enjoy being by myself.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's really about just letting HP have it, navigate it. I'm just along for the ride.
right. It comes as it's supposed to.
Yeah. So, well, Ashley, enjoyed doing this with you in 2024. Looking forward to 2025, and seeing where we go, where this goes, where Work It You Are Worth It as a whole goes. Um, thank you for being part of my journey. Um,
I know. Okay, I can't believe we've been doing this for 2 years now.
I know.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, the Friday will be 2 years exactly that the first podcast came out.
Wow. Impressive. I love it. I love you. I
Love you.
appreciate this. And I look forward to next year and doing it some more.
That sounds good. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2025, and we'll talk to you soon.
Happy New Year, everyone. Bye.
Bye. We would like to thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery. Visit the Work It website at workityourworthit.com to submit your questions and topics for future episodes. And remember, work it because you are worth it.